Alright everybody, it's time for a doozy today. So of course, there's been quite a bit of news recently. We all know that Kanye finally dropped Vultures 2, but if I'm being completely honest, if you expect me to do a review on it, that shit's just not gonna happen. I think I've just became so disillusioned with Kanye at this point in his music that at this point I just can't be bothered to just review or discuss anything he's done or anything he will do. I did check it out a little bit, and as far as it goes, of course it's very bland, very underwhelming, and shows about every single aspect towards Kanye's musical fall off. And then there's just the absolutely disgraceful use of AI vocals on this album that completely discredit anything that could have given this album in any sort of a better score from any sort of reviewer, and I feel like completely spits on the face of the art of hip-hop as a whole. And I'm also aware of the whole Zillakami drama with him hooking up with Molly Santana at like 14, but if I'm being honest, if you really thought a dude named Zillakami wasn't gonna be a weirdo, well then I got a bridge to sell you. But depending on how this drama really unfolds in the end, I might or might not make a video on that, so stay tuned. But for today's video, I want to talk about hip-hop's comeback kid Lil Yachty and his unstoppable ability to say the stupidest shit publicly. So recently he's been under a lot of fire because he went on a podcast and said some things about fashion, and he also gave his unnecessary, unwarranted opinions on the Kendrick-Drake beef because for some fucking reason everybody feels as if they gotta have an opinion on the Kendrick-Drake beef. So to begin with the Drake thing, he basically just talks about how when talking to Drake himself, it seemed that Drake wasn't exactly fazed with the whole beef drama or whatever, even though he was getting absolutely cooked. But I guess it kind of makes sense, especially when you think about Drake's status. I mean, the guy is worth like hundreds of millions of dollars and is still one of the top selling hip hop artists of all time. I guess in his position, you can only really be phased for so long, right? But then he also states that the reason why people are dogpiling on Drake is because I guess people just want to see Drake fall, which I would agree with more if, you know, the whole pedophile thing wasn't tied to that. Like, that's the thing that's killing me here. I don't know why everybody is just completely overlooking the whole predatory part of Drake and trying to treat it as if Drake is some victim of internet bullying. Like, Yachty, I get that's your buddy, but I feel like you really shouldn't have added your opinions on that one. Like, I imagine Yachty's just patting Drake on the back and telling him, there, everything's gonna be okay, while Drake is out here crying about the mean people online. But then after that, we get a little bit of glazing from Yachty, of course, in regards to Drake, with him saying, and I quote, "I think people hate on Drake because he's the guy. It's also because he fucked everyone's bitch. He's that guy though. All the records, all the numbers, he's the one." And you know, I'm kind of surprised that that's the end of the sentence. I was just waiting on a bit of a choking sound effect from Drake's nuts in Yachty's throat. I mean, when I read that statement out loud, it really did sound like he was doing tricks on it, but that's just me. Like, I get it, Yachty, all right? I said it before, he's your buddy, your BBL bros or whatever the hell, but that doesn't mean you have to hop on a podcast and unnecessarily throat down Drake 5 different ways, all right? We get it, dude. He validates you. But the other comment that I wanted to get into that also got the internet into an outrage is when he said, with confidence, mind you, that New York fashion isn't really all that, and that he's standing on a hill alone in terms of dressing up. Now first, of course, I had to double check if I wasn't just watching the Eric Andre show, because there's no way anybody can actually say this as a serious comment, especially not Lil Yachty of all people. Because I mean, first of all, Yachty, who are you to say you're standing on a hill alone? Do you really think that you're the trendsetter? Do you really think that you're the odd one out? The only thing that separates me and you is money. But I'm telling you, in terms of fashion, I could find like 100 dudes right now in New York City that dress just like you. And then secondly, dude, weren't you like cool with like the ASAP mob back during your initial rise into stardom? And then also, even when you look at your fashion sense now, it's heavily inspired by 90s, 2000s New York hip hop and street culture. Like, bro, you look like a rejected member of the Wu-Tang Clan, and you want to talk about how there's nothing in New York? Like, I'm not even from New York, but as a fashionista and music nerd, I'm just not gonna sit here and act like New York isn't a major influence on music, fashion, and pop culture for like the past 20 to 30 years. I mean, streetwear and fashion trends that we see now are based upon the stuff that we seen 20 to 30 years ago within the 4 boroughs. Except for Staten Island, we don't count them. Pete Davidson sucks. But now that I've gotten that little portion out of the way, let's talk about Lil Yachty for a second. See, because when did he get the right to be so pretentious? Like, I respect his musical resurgence and whatnot. You know, he's doing his thing, and I'll give him his flowers for that. But as ASAP Nas said, you're not that guy, pal. You're just not that guy. And it's funny because now he's backtracking and he's getting hurt because everybody's calling his comments dumb as shit. Because of course, somebody who got a cosign from Drake but also had the same level of ego as Drake, which basically means that they can't handle any criticism. Like, listen, Yachty, alright? You need to humble yourself, okay? You are a Mableton kid who got signed to an Atlanta label, who got big off a song about Minnesota, and then you got hooked onto Detroit rap, and now you dress like every single New York dude within a 5-mile radius. You have no identity, yet you try to be the guy to stand on a soapbox as if you do have one. Just keep dropping singles and features and just keep it pushing, man, because as I said before, you're not that guy. But that's basically the rundown. I just thought all of that was just really dumb, and I just feel like it's absolutely insane for Yachty of all people. Like I said before, I respect his resurgence, I respect his comeback, but it's like, dog, where is this sort of attitude coming from? Okay, you drop a couple bangers and I give you props, but now you're trying to think that you're like some trend-setting, influencing figure. No, you're not. You are a one-of-one reflection of the same things I've been seeing in pop culture for like the past like 5 to 10 years. You are the trend follower. But I guess that's what happens when the sheep thinks that they're the lion. I gotta go dress up so I can look better than everybody else that surrounds me. I have a storm coming very soon, so you might or might not see this video on time. Hopefully my power doesn't go out, and hopefully I don't get flooded out of my own home. I love you all very much. Stay safe if you live in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, or South Carolina. Please wear an umbrella. I'll see you guys next Monday. Peace.
Hehehehe